For people don't know who I am the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Coordinator here at the Henderson Community College. And I'm just making sure I got the recording. It looked like it wasn't on. This is who I am, and this is not okay. Part of the fun of Halloween is dressing up as your favorite famous person or character. While this is okay, but it can be sensitive when somebody dresses a certain race or stereotype or culture. So, speaker, are you here today?
Yes.
Yes, you are. Can you please state your name and your race?
Charles Johnson, African American.
Okay, can you please turn your camera on, please, sir? Hello, Mr. Johnson. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
That's good. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. This is going to be engaging, and also the audience has the opportunity to ask you some questions as well. This is to get to a little more about you and your race and your culture. So, do you get offended when you see someone dressed as your race or culture during Halloween?
No, not so much. It just depends on what the character is. I think example, say Black Panther. I mean, I'm not that was a superhero and certainly one of the first black superheroes that kids could identify with of color. So those kids that are regardless of their ethnicity dressing up like that. And I know there's been issues from past people say who painted their face black and portrayed that, things that come out saying it's wrong. I mean that didn't so much offend me because we saw a lot of that growing up and stuff in terms of the costume, especially when you couldn't afford a costume, so you just did what you had to do.
And I mean, I know you are a little bit older than me, but I know when I was younger, most of the costume was more of a white face costume,
Hmm.
like your Wonder Woman, or I'm trying to think. I just remember I had the Wonder Woman one, and I had to wear every year. So, like you said, we had to be creative of different costume when we was younger versus what it is today. Um, what are people's perspective of you when they see you? Do they voice their opinion of you, or act some type of way when they approach you?
um it depends on who it is. um I, I don't know what people's perception of me. I hope that it's positive and they see me as being a confident person in my mannerism, in my conversation, whether I'm sitting at the board table or whether I'm just walking through Walmart because I got to pick up some groceries. So hopefully people see something positive in me. I think that we can't go around living our life on the perception of what people may or may not think of you. I think it's how you feel about yourself. And I think that's a message that we have to continuously share with this generation because of some of a lot of the issues that they deal with, the meism and self-esteem and stuff. Getting young people to feel good about themselves, not the perception of what social media says about you, whether it's Twitter, social media, Snapchat, TikTok now. I think that's the thing. So I think the getting this generation and not no particular group just feeling good about themselves. You're seeing a lot on the internet about body shaming. Well, I mean, what is body shaming? I mean, all of us don't have a perfect body, and now people struggle with that. The self identity issues and stuff. So.
Thank you. What do you think about the racial tension in the past several years? Has it changed your view about race, about your own race and other races?
Um, I think when you go back, I think you go back to the Obama era when we first witnessed the election uh, of the first sitting president of color. We thought that I think we as a nation, we really thought that we had overcome a lot of the challenges, and somewhat we did. We did. overcome a lot of the challenges, the struggles that I feel that our foreparents, especially the ones during the civil rights, when they envisioned days like this. We thought that, but also we saw as time progressed through his administration, we saw a lot of anger from various cultural groups come to the forefront. And I think that's kind of led us to some of the things that we see today. And it's not a white thing or it's not a black thing. I think there's ownership on both sides of all spectrum, not just whites, blacks, Hispanic. There's ownership as a people, as a group of people. And I think that when we look at the landscape across America, we should be troubled by some of the race issues that we've seen uh, across this spectrum. It's easy to talk about police reform and the police, but when you have black on black crime and we don't portray that or see that as being wrong, well, that is just as wrong. So there's ownership on both sides of the street. So we as a people who care about our communities and care about people and care about our kids ought to be concerned about the racial tension that we've seen across this landscape.
Thank you. I appreciate you for sharing that. As a community leader, and please tell us what you do when you answer this question. Do you feel like ACC provides a safe environment for students to learn? Because there has been a lot of racial tension and a lot of campus shootings throughout different four-year institutions, and a couple has happened at two-year institutions. Do you feel like Henderson Community College provides a safe environment for students to learn?
Yeah, I do. I think most colleges do provide a safe environment for students, whether it's the 2 year or whether it's the 4 year. Some of the things that we've seen across the college campuses, I think, is just a reflection of how we have become as a people. And but I mean, I feel safe when I come on the campus, and my experience being on working on another 2 year campus. We had to address the safety concerns and issues, and went through those, and so often we had to do the training, and we understood the need for that training. So I think all schools, 2 4 year, including our high schools now, it used to be a day you just walk into school and go to the counter and sign your child out and come out. Now you got to go through certain security barriers and lock doors and speak through intercoms. But I mean, those are the days in which we have come, and you understand that. But I believe that all campuses have, all colleges across those that I've been on, and those have gone out of their way to address those issues. But there's only so many things you can control.
I agree with you. And then please tell us what you do. You're a very famous community leader here in Henderson
I don't know.
area. So please tell us what you do.
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask my wife, she say I do nothing. But my first calling is that I pastor here in the tri-state, Greater North Chapel. That's my first priority to my membership and to the church. And then I've always been bivocational throughout my ministry, and I'm thankful that the church has allowed that setting for me. And I currently serve as the executive director for the Henderson County Human Rights Commission. And this office advocates for the fairness and rights of all citizens, regardless, whether it's for fair housing, employment, discrimination, marriages. So the office tackles numerous subjects and stuff that come across the desk. So I fight for the rights and the fairness of people. And I believe that all citizens ought to be treated fair, regardless of what street you live on, regardless of where you work, what your economic status is. All citizens ought to be treated right, and that's what I advocate for here, and hope to continue to advocate. I think these are some good positive times in our tri-state. I'm talking about the Henderson area. I can't speak to the surrounding. We're centrally located from Evansville as well as Owensboro, and many of our people, neighbors, drive to these various places to work, make a living. But I feel that these are some good times here in our tri-state. There are plentiful jobs. We just need people to work. Henderson is a jewel because, true manufacturing is one of our main leading sources of income here in this tri-state area. But we've also seen that these are good paying jobs as well too. It's just now trying to find people who want to work and who are willing to work. So these are some good times. I think when you look at some of the leading industry, that the business that's about to be built here in our area, Pratt Industry, the birth of companies that's going to produce in our area, and the jobs that is going to produce. And then with I-69 coming through down the road, I believe that everybody will have opportunities who have a desire. And that's the key thing. You have to have a desire. You have to want. You have to
Right.
want for yourself. Nobody's going to give you anything. You have to want for yourself. And if that means, hey, I got to work a job or two, then so be it. We watched our parents do it, and we see many people do it today. It's just how it is. But these are, I think, some good positive times in our tri-state. I do feel that yes, we have issues, we have concerns, we have
And
issues.
that's what I was going to ask you, the challenges
Yeah,
that you're
the
facing,
challenge.
especially in that position. Can
Yeah.
you elaborate if you feel comfortable sharing some of the challenges and issues of Henderson you noticed?
Well, we still have some of the challenges when you look in the paper and you see one of our local banking institutions with a reputable name discriminating against loan, housing, and various things. So we still have a lot of concerns in our tri-state that we need to address when we go to the downtown area. Do we see people that look like us? When we walk into the local business establishments, the banking institutions, the local businesses, we certainly want to promote and have more minority-owned businesses in our area. We've seen a growth from that, and that's good. We have a lot here in our area, but we can certainly we want more, and we need to advocate for more, and to
I'm starting to
advocate for
see
more.
more since COVID. I'm
Mhm.
starting to see a lot of food trucks and people setting up on the side of the road. Driving from the community college, there is a barbecue stand, a person with a grill, and they've been there almost every day for the
Yeah,
last couple of
yeah,
weeks. So I've seen a lot of, like you said, black-owned businesses just popping up. A lot that don't really have a storefront. So it's good to
right.
go out and support them as well.
Well, and that's the change of times in which we in. That people are getting away from the old model of brick and mortar. That they're
Hmm.
being mobile with their businesses. When you go to
Hmm.
larger metropolitan cities, urban cities, you see a lot of that now.
That's right.
And so, but for those who have the aspirations, and it doesn't have to just be African Americans, just anyone who has the aspiration of becoming a business owner, uh,
Hmm.
what do they need to do to put themselves in a position? And there ought to be tools and entities here in our local area that help people with those ideas, that help them hone in. There ought to be mentoring opportunities. If I'm a business, if I want to be a business owner, can I find a mentor who can help me? What are the funding sources? What are the funding bases? To get to help those individuals and stuff. So
I agree with you on that as well. Do you think Henderson Community College is diverse with students, faculty, and staff?
Yes, and I'm not just saying that because this is under the auspices of HCC. I've always shared that A plus with the current administration as well as former administrators, them reaching out and recruiting uh,
Mm-hmm.
people of color to
Mm-hmm.
Henderson's kind of off the beaten path, as opposed to when you get to some of the major cities around the state of Kentucky. Uh, there's certainly there's certainly a need for people of color to go into higher ed. We've known that, to go into higher education and when they do get those degrees and stuff, to give them the opportunities to manage those departments and to excel. And so Henderson Community College has, to me, has done a good job in doing that. Now, they probably struggle like a lot of the 2-year schools with retention when it comes to keeping professionals there because a
Right.
lot of those jobs are stepping stones to the next job, and that's just how it is there. I mean, it is what it is, but we always want to do more. But I think that when you walk on the campus, we want to see we want to see more students of color. We want to see more Black males taking these programs, technical programs, and various programs and stuff. There's a shortage across this nation that the 2-year and the 4-year battle with recruiting and retaining, I'm sorry, the Black males and stuff. And there's so much funding source. I mean, look at the time that we were back in college, back in those days, that the challenges that we had just to get to college, and we had to go to college, and we knew we was going to get a job to work to help mom and dad to keep us in college. Now
Mm-hmm.
kids are literally going free, and I'm not saying they go free, but there's so much funding source out there for them to go,
That is true.
and they need to take advantage of that, you know. And I know those are always areas of concern. But back to the question, yes, I think HCC has done a good job, and we can always do better, and we know that. But in terms of when you look at the administration, when you look at the we always need more faculty members to teach the various subject bases and stuff, so yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Share something you like to change in today's society. So we touched on a lot of things. So what's one thing you will like to change or you will hope to change in today's society?
Uh, I think if I could change one thing, it's easy to say that we have love for more people. And I think I've said this earlier, and I certainly mean it. Um, we as people of color don't need to become our own worst enemy towards each other. We need to look for ways to help those who want to be helped. We were blessed to have those mentors in our life, those people who were made positive impact with us. We had, the school teachers, the educators. We had the business owners and stuff. So we saw people who look like us, and we're not afraid to share those techniques and ideas with us. Now we've reached a level that I got mine and you get yours the best way you can. And I hope that we can continue to work past that we can be more helpful to people, to this generation, and not give up on them. You know, our kids can do more than just play basketball. They can do
I
more than
agree.
just play football. Uh, um, they can excel in the classroom. They can be teachers, they can be doctors, they can be lawyers. You know, they can be truck drivers and welders and electricians. And we were fortunate growing up seeing a lot of that, you know, in our communities, and they lived in our communities, you know, and stuff. So that's missing today in our communities, and certainly it's missing today here in our tri-state area.
And we also had grandma.
Yeah, yeah, we had grandma. Yeah, yeah, we had grandma.
Grandma get us straight all the time.
Uh, uh, yeah.
So that's all the questions I have. Thank you for sharing. And so now I'm going to open the floor up to anybody who wants to ask Mr. Johnson some questions. So please raise your hand and I will call you. Now everybody raise their hand at once. I have to go through this every time. Well, in the chat, Miss April Johnson wanted to say hello. So I know she's on the call. So April, you want to give you a little shout out? Now she ain't gonna speak because
I had to unmute myself. Hello, Reverend Johnson.
Hey, Miss April.
To my pastor. Reverend Johnson, I do have a question. Since you've been in your position, have you noticed a change within Henderson as far as minorities in our community being able to do more things in the downtown area? I noticed there are several, well, maybe one or two restaurants downtown that are owned by Blacks or people of color as well. But besides the restaurants, but do you see them, like starting up more businesses, different types of businesses?
Yeah, I've seen that, and I know the banks have the financial institutions have reached out to me and brought me to the table. Just, you know, what are some ideas? What are some ways that we can reach out? And there's so much, and we need to continue to promote this message. There is so much, and I don't have all of the T's and the I's, but there is so much funding source for people who want to start businesses. You know, it's one thing to walk in the bank and say, hey, I want to start a business. Okay, well, what's your business plan? What's your business model? And so that's where we need, I think, to improve upon how we can help that person to improve upon that business model, to kind of hone in on that skill. So I've seen some improvement, and we certainly need to see more improvement. You know, when I say that, I don't mean that to sound too arrogant. That there's always, and I'm proud of when, like you said, when you go downtown and you see some of the Black-owned restaurants and the food trucks that are able to set up in various throughout our local tri-state. I think I really got a good feel when WC Handy, when we had WC Handy, they were definitely at the forefront, getting business and stuff. And from what I heard, everybody really did well. All of those vendors did well, with the product that they were selling and stuff. So I that's why I say I think these are some good times for our area. And that's my role, and that's my prayer, that I can just help be an avenue, So when I'm able to go off the scene here, that I can help somebody, pave the way for someone. And to you, Miss April, we're fortunate to a good example to have your daughter be able to come back and be a byproduct of the community and get a job that pays good wages and benefits, and be a byproduct to the community, because we lose so many of our kids,
Yes.
who go off to college. We lose, that we lose a lot of them who go off to college. They're not coming back here because they say, hey, there's nothing here to come back to. And so we were fortunate, along with yours, Dr. Michelle, to get your son, back here after he finished his degree. And so we need more of that. We need more of that. We need more of that.
What can we do, well, you'll soon be a doctor. What can we do, Reverend Johnson, to get, like, in our high schools, well, not even just our high schools, but elementary, junior high, and high school, people of color, so that our children can see people like represent who they are and know that this is something that they can do too, as far as like in your school settings. Because besides, our our churches, we really don't have the representation outside of our churches that look like us.
Right.
And
Not very
April, I'm gonna cut in on Mr. Johnson. All you got to answer that. That is one of the questions that I asked the superintendent of Henderson when I had my meeting. I am going to finalize this Thursday the first mentor program for the Henderson County High School. I am going to be working with 36 seniors. And that was one of the things. So I'm hopefully after this, I am going to be working with him on recruiting efforts. And I agree, we need more teachers that look like the students' population. So, Mr. Johnson, you might want to add to that, but I just wanted to share you a little bit after that. And then when he gets done answer that question, Laura, you're next.
Well, and I was going to piggyback on you that we got to hit them. We got to hit them early. And one thing I think that I saw with the former college that I used to work with, they used to get into these schools at an early age, have the career, the resource fair, the career fair, as far as down in grade school. They didn't just wait till they got to their junior year, going into their senior year. Okay, what do you want to do? Go do it. They started early with that. I think more emphasis, and this is not a reflection or negative on our public school system. I think more emphasis needs to be put on our tech program, because we know a lot of our kids are so techie savvy today, more so than what we were coming up. And certainly they are better, more than me. I think we need to put more emphasis on our technical programs, hands-on, give these kids from the grade school level an opportunity to go out here to this high school, do some career days, let these kids do a shadow day, let them get in there and touch the welding equipment, let them get in there and touch the electrical equipment, build some stations that are training, that can train them. And I think that we need to, and I don't know if they have or not, I haven't heard, but I don't want to say that they're not. I just think that we need to put more. We can even go as early as the preschool there at Miss Thelma B. These kids love to touch stuff. They love to feel stuff, and do little things like that to start getting that in these kids' minds. These are some opportunities for them down the road. And I too have had that conversation with the school system, and we got to do more than just, show up at a career fair and say, hey, we got an opening here. Because I know of two African-American kids that are byproduct of our community, have finished at the 4-year schools with educational degrees. We should have been right there on the end of that stage when they walked past that president to get that degree. We should have had a contract in our hand to offer them. Now, if they chose not to, that's fine. But a contract should have been extended to these kids. Hey, we need you to come back home. We need you to come back home and teach. So we got to do a better job. We got to do a better job in that area. But I think we need to expose the kids more than what we're doing.
Thank you. April, you got anything you want to ask Mr. Johnson? If not, I'm going to move to Laura.
Thank you, Reverend Johnson.
Thank you.
Laura, go ahead.
So actually, you kind of already hit on what I was going to ask. April kind of asked it in a roundabout way. That I was just going to ask if you had any ideas on what we could do as far as like recruiting or making other diverse cultures feel welcomed and feel like they that that we want them here, and that that we're welcome to all their opinions and their knowledge, and that we want to be able to accommodate them.
Well, one of the things, from my experience working at the community college, and Michelle will know this, I used to coordinate the campus tours. And so it was nothing for me to have a class of 30 on up to 300 kids on campus each week. And so what we did, we asked those technical instructors to set up some training modules so these kids could come in, because we noticed that we wasn't reaching them. We was coming, getting them there, walking them through the classroom. Glad to see you. Thank you for coming. And that was it. And so that they were bored with that. So the technical programs, the math department, the science department, the nursing programs, those programs, radiography, surge tech, they were doing they were doing hands-on modules for these kids to come in and see, for these students to see, what does it take to be a nurse? What does it take to be a radiologist? What does it take to be a scientist? And what does it take to be a welder? In various things. So we were able for them to develop those experiences. And once we did that, once we started doing that, we started to see the enrollment increase, especially from, and I forgot the name of it, early college. I don't know if that's what they still call it, the early college, where they can go from their sophomore transitioning into their junior year, where they could come to the college campus and take courses and stuff. And I don't know how they do that. I'm out of sync with that. But we started to see an enrollment in these programs across the way. Now, certainly not in nursing, but they were able to take some of these gen eds, get some of these prereqs out of the way. But for the technical programs, they were able to come right on in and start taking some of these technical programs. And those kids were finishing high school, not only with a high school diploma, but they already had about 30 credit hours of just, technical classes or gen ed courses, that they could continue. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and we started that early. These kids wanted to touch it. They wanted to feel it, not just walk on campus and walk around and see the geese and the ducks in the pond and see folk waving at them. They wanted to get in the classroom and see what you do and how you do it.
Well, Charles, I remember you used to do that, and I used to be cracking up, seeing you walk around with all the students.
Yeah.
We do have early college here at our campus as well. So anytime we need to do a tour, I'm just going to call you and say, hey, you remember those days when we worked at OCTC, you can come back and start doing a tour.
Yeah, I got burned out, but I tell you, I loved it, and it was good. It was good experience, but my days is come and gone with that. You need your good young person to take that over and stuff. But it works. It's effective, and the staff, the faculty bought into it. The staff, the instructors, they bought into that because they had a say so in it. They had a say so in it, and we let them tailor it how they want to because it was their classroom, and it helped people. I mean, Michelle knows it helped. We had all the local high schools on campus every year, and I mean, you're talking about 300-400 kids per class, and I mean, and then you need a lot of people to help, guide them around to those various works. So it worked and it helped, and we started seeing a change with that.
Thank you, Charles. Karen, go ahead.
I have a question. Many years, and Michelle, this may be directed more towards you, but many years ago, we had Super Sunday. Do you recall that? Where all the 16 colleges would go to the African-American churches and recruit, and I wonder if they will ever be resurrected or happen again. Nope.
I know you see me say no. Well, because now they do it Super Someday. And Charles, you was there during the same time that I was before the previous position, but I helped out. When we went to some of these churches, and I know we did one at Mr. Johnson's church, there wasn't a lot of attendance at all with that. At first it was, but then it started to die off, and we tried to do it during Black History Month to try to make it like a big campus event or community event, but it kind of fell by the wayside. And so Henderson Community College do Super Someday during April, and we were tying it to the Tri-Fest, and we set up in the park. I don't know if you remember that a couple years, Karen.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
That's our new Super Sunday. Now it's called Super Someday.
Gotcha.
I don't know what Orangeboro did the last couple years. Charles, you want to maybe elaborate on that, or do they still do it?
Yeah, I don't know. And also to piggyback on that, one of the challenges in going to a lot of the state meetings and Michelle's predecessor, I will commend him, and they always recognize that at the state level, because we in the western side of the state don't see the increase of people, influx of people like the bit larger cities would, the Louisville, the Lexington, and stuff like that. So it got to be kind of repetitious each year. So he was always looking for ways to think out of the box, how you could do, Super Sunday. It was a great concept when we started. And I think, once you got to that, well, these kids have already heard about the programs and stuff like that. So, I'm not opposed to seeing you guys do that again, or however y'all doing it, Michelle. And I don't know, and we'll certainly we don't have a problem in hosting it at the church. And like you said, we got to just think outside the box now with COVID. We still deal with those challenges. But I know, getting back to that was one of the roadblocks that HCC and OCTC ran into. Madisonville ran into it, that we see the same students year in and year out. It's nothing new. So we're getting kind of burned out trying to recreate the wheel and stuff. So, but when it first rolled out, it was hot. We were doing a great job, and it was a great recruiting tool. And someone like Louisville, like I said, they see increase new people every year, and with the big colleges there, I mean, hey, but it was a great idea.
Thanks. Anybody else want to ask Mr. Johnson a question?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for what you're doing, and I always commend Dr. Warren, and commended Dr. Wagner. I know she's 2 weeks, 1 week or 2 weeks removed, and I commended her for the work and effort that she was able to get done for the short time that she was with us. And I commend Dr. Warren for reaching out and to recruiting and hiring people of color. So we want to continue. I'm an advocate for the community college, so whatever I can do, and I'm blessed to pastor members who work up there on the Hill, and they know that we pro education at the chapel, and so whatever we can do to assist and help and to promote the cause of higher ed, you can count on us.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day, and it looks like there's no more questions. This concludes My Race is Not a Costume. I'm hoping that you learned something today. If you have any more questions that you think about after this meeting, feel free to reach out to me, and I will try to get the response back to your question. Everybody, it's kind of a nice day. The sun is shining, but it's a little chilly. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you, Mr. Johnson, for sharing with us today.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.